Welcome back to Ben Rants, and when I was a kid, kids were treated like they had brain cells. For all my life, I've seen Nickelodeon as the black sheep when it came to the three main kids channels. While I do enjoy a few Nick shows, Cartoon Network and Disney Channel have created shows that I love well into adulthood, and a lot of Nick shows really don't age well, and they're not as good as I remember them as a kid. I also feel Nick has gone downhill the most in terms of the big three kids networks, as they've shown that they think they only have one show. However, as bad as Nickelodeon has been, every sin they've committed in the past doesn't live up to the monstrosity they have unleashed onto the world. This is a cartoon that I wouldn't force my worst enemy to watch. I'd rather run a cheese grater against my tongue. This cartoon makes the new SpongeBob's feel like angry beavers by comparison. Yes, it's that bad. That cartoon is Satan and Satan. I mean, Sanjay and Craig. So, this cartoon has a bajillion creators who've worked on previous shows piecing it together, with J-Hal being one of them, and he is also the character designer for Bob's Burgers. Then, we have the executive producers, Will McCrobb and Chris Viscardi, the creators of the classic Nick sitcom, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Finally, the producer is Stuart Van Orman, who we know as the voice of Little Gideon in Gravity Falls, and the creator of Cartoon Network's The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. Well, I might not be a fan of any of these guys, but surely all of them working together couldn't make a cartoon this bad, right? Anyway, this show is about an Indian American named Sanjay and his pet snake named Craig, and it's basically the plot of every single buddy comedy cartoon made today. While I can't say I'm a fan of the premise, as it's being done to death, however, I was willing to give it a chance, so I watched a couple of episodes. And this is what led me to having to get a blood transfusion. Sometimes I feel I am the man in the box, because I'm constantly getting buried in crap! And it's cartoons like this that make me feel that way. How bad is this cartoon? Well, let's take a look, shall we? I must warn you folks, be cautious, as the pictures you will see in this video might influence you to get your stomach removed, so you better have good health insurance. So, the opening to this show is a theme song that keeps changing its rhythm, and before you know it, it's over. It's kind of like Nirvana. Not really. In fact, it sucks. I'm gonna have to hurt myself later for comparing Nirvana to this crap. So, the first episode I watched was Brett Venom MD. This episode concerned Sanjay's mom, Darlene, performing the first ever butt transplant, and Sanjay and Craig want to go and see it. Oh, it's one of those cartoons, huh? Hello, Hinton Robinson Zoo. I'd like to buy your gorilla, Bobo. Oh, I'm just doing a study on what gorillas do if you punch them. Yes, I promise I'll protect myself. Okay, bye. So, Sanjay and Craig follow Darlene to the hospital, and they manage to get in by pretending to be mutated, and they're put in a room with other mutated people, and they laugh at them. People with physical deformities are funny. Sanjay and Craig manage to dress up as doctors, and what follows is a mini music video where it shows Sanjay and Craig as party doctors. I'm not even going to ask. Anyway, the party doctors manage to get into the operating room where the butt transplant is taking place, and their angry neighbor, Mr. Nudeman, subtle name, is getting the transplant. Well, they screw it up and the butt starts to bounce all over the hospital. Nick, I have to ask you one important question. What the luck is wrong with you? Seriously, a butt bouncing around the hospital? Seriously, a butt bouncing around a hospital? Seriously? Were you people stoned when you approved of that? Do you honestly think people want to stare at butts? Granted, I know there are people out there, but come on! Do you think kids are that stupid? Personally, the only butts I like staring at are the butts of animated women. In fact... Oh yeah. Can't I just stare at this picture for 30 minutes? Anyway, it turns out Mr. Newman's, seriously, what's with that name? Operation was a complete success, and the camera does a zoom in on his big new butt as it bounces up and down as he walks. Oh my God. I finally realized the meaning of life. We were all put on this earth to get all the hope sucked out of us, and to prepare ourselves for eternal damnation in hell. So, how was the episode? Do you honestly need me to tell you what I thought about it? I'm surprised I can still form complete sentence after dabba dooba dabba ooba ooba meta booba. So, the next episode is Laughquake. Starts out with Sanjay and Craig having their usual fun, and Sanjay starts to laugh. You know, folks, when I was a little cartoon character, I used to have a pet bird named Feathers. I loved her so much. Anyway, there was one day I let Feathers out of her cage, and I let her outside so she can fly and be free. However, she flew too low to the ground, and a cat got her. While that cat was snapping the life out of Feathers' neck, she made a noise that sounded angelic compared to the laughter coming out of Sanjay's mouth. So, for the rest of the episode, Sanjay and Craig go around trying to copy the laughs of other characters. Really? This is a plot? Is this the best episode idea the writers for this show could come up with? Two characters just copying laughs? Honestly, Looney T. Ben could come up with more interesting episode ideas than that. Granted, they would be messed up as all heck, but at least they would be interesting! Anyway, guess what? In the end, Sanjay and Craig say their laughs are perfectly fine, and the episode closes. So I had to get my eardrums removed for that? Well, seeing as how I love torturing myself, I watched 4 more episodes after these 2, and I was wishing I didn't because I chopped off so many of my toes in the process that I had to go get them surgically reattached only to chop them off again. Now, before I pass out, here are my reasons why watching 5 seconds of this show is worse than a Honey Boo Boo marathon. For starters, the humor. It's full of complex and intellectual humor. And by that, I mean constant butt, fart, and poop jokes. However, it's not all crude humor. Here's what this show is also trying to say is funny. Bells ringing, Sanjay chewing used gum, and a guy dancing in a pink bunny suit. What? Oh, sorry, I was laughing at this mango. What did I miss? I swear to Zeus, how is this funny? How? Is there anyone out there who can explain to me in a mature way how things that cause us to have heartburn in real life is funny on TV? It's fucking gross! Cartoons are supposed to be my escape from this kind of crap, so it doesn't help when I have to deal with it in my little trucking fantasy land. God! Next, the things. Yeah, I'm calling them things because these things don't have any character. They're cardboard cutouts that can somehow move. Sanjay is a boy, Craig is a snake, Newman, no, seriously, what was that person smoking when he came up with that name, is a human version of Squidward. And all of these other characters in this show have the personalities of drywall. I'm not interested in anything any of these characters say or do. That's just sad when I can't find one character to like. Oh wait, I'm wrong. I just remembered who my favorite character is. The Sidewalk. The Sidewalk can't talk or do gross things, so he's the only character who doesn't make me want to swallow a hornet's nest. Next, the plot's rewrite one-dimensional. I've already mentioned the one about laughing, but there was one where Sanjay doesn't want to ride a roller coaster, and that's it. There was also one where Sanjay acts like his favorite movie star, and that's it. Then, there was one where Sanjay's friend Hector acts like a wolf. Then he discovers that wolves are from outer space and they plan to take out Earth by making flame-throwing cupcakes to kill all the Earth people. So Hector must summon the powers of Jerry Garcia to turn the wolves into trees! That was just what I wanted to see while watching the episode. Sadly, Hector just acts like a wolf, and that's it. Come on! Are these writers even trying? No, they're not. They're not even trying to try. Finally, the art style. And that every style is unique and appealing in its own way. But would it kill them to ask themselves, maybe we should make these designs a little more appealing to the eye? Honestly! Seriously! Several million people are going to be watching this cartoon. Are you trying to make them yank their eyes out? Seriously! Look at these pictures! Do you think this is appealing in any way? The human characters look like bowling pins, and their faces are so abstract they look disgusting by even cartoon standards. My God, would you want to stare at this for 22 minutes? Well, thankfully, my eyes didn't start blinking at the 22-minute mark. They started blinking at the 3-second mark. I'm thankful for that because it gave me an excuse to cover my eyes while watching this show. That's just my opinion. They can keep the style like this. However, that doesn't mean I'm not going to want to jam a toothpick into my pupils while looking at it. So, yeah, Sanjay and Craig has got to be the absolute worst show I've ever seen. How many times have I said that this year alone? Are all these studios watching my videos and saying, "What? He thinks that is the worst show? Well, we could do worse than that. Come on, boys, drive this cartoon character to the point of suicide. Screw you, studios! I have feelings too! Now, I know what you're thinking. You're stupid, Ben. Why are you ranting on a show made for kids? The fact that Nick is making this show for kids should be considered an act of terrorism on our youth. This is the cartoon equivalent to the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Yes, that bad. This show will suck all the innocence out of children, making them afraid to go to sleep. All their hopes and dreams will be shattered as they'll lose faith in the world around them. They'll all turn into homicidal maniacs that'll skin people alive, causing a mass outbreak of out-of-control serial killers! Or, best case scenario, they'll just start playing their Xbox and stop watching TV. Also, seeing as how much I love cartoons, I love to check out every new one that comes on, to see if I want to keep watching it, and it might turn to one of my all-time favorites. Sure, I have to get through crap. A lot of crap, but when I find the rubies, it's all worth it. I also believe that catering mainly to kids is the worst thing studios can do. As C.S. Lewis once said, a kid's story that's made just for kids isn't a good story at all. If you want something to be remembered, it has to be made to where it appeals to kids when they grow up and pass it on to their kids. Why do you think cartoons that were made over 80 years ago are still being talked about? Because they were made for kids and adults. Also, how do studios know what kids like anyway? Most of the information studios get are from charts that have calculated data from focus groups on them. Since when have those things ever been accurate? The things kids like now won't be the same things kids like a year from now. So, it's best to make things that speak to all age groups, and maybe a little more towards adults. After all, parents have to watch these cartoons with their kids. Are you trying to make them put their kids up for adoption? Also, there's nothing wrong with the 20-year-old guy watching cartoons. And if you think there is something wrong with that, sorry, I don't like watching a bunch of steroid-induced monsters slamming into each other like a herd of rams. Sorry, I don't like an unfunny sitcom that feels more like an immature kids cartoon than it does an adult sitcom. And I'm sorry, I don't like watching a show about a bunch of bearded rednecks who go duck hunting and yell at each other. Seriously, they're duck hunting for God's sakes. Where's the entertainment value in that? Anyway, with how bad Sanjay and Craig is, I have a feeling that it isn't going to last long. I know kids are smarter than these networks think they are, and they're not going to waste their time on this correct terror garbage. And I know serious cartoons aren't going to get attached to this show either. Yep, I'm sure they hate it just as much as I do. Just look at all these positive reviews. Wait, what? Juvenile, but also funny and smart. No. Doesn't tiptoe around the stuff kids love most, like gross stuff and absurd slapstick that in real life would probably get you killed. No! Hey. I don't belong in this world.